Hey SaaS creators, this is Howard Tibbs from SaaS Development Lab. Today we're going to talk about the MVPs, the Lean Startup Approach. We In the previous videos we talked about the difference between an MVP and the full product. We also gave you some success stories such as like Airbnb, Dropbox, just to name a few, just to give you an idea of some success stories that started, and also Spotify, to give you an idea of how they got started in their ways, just from an MVP. So now we're just going to talk about the lean startup approach now. So let's go ahead and get started. So the build, measure, learn loop. If you're familiar with the lean startup methodology, you'll know it's all about build, measure, learn loop. Where, but where do MVPs fit in? Let's break it down. Basically, build, measure, learn loop as something I talked about in the previous video, where you build it first, you measure and get user feedback, and you learn based on that user feedback, the market demand. It's a correct loop that is ever learning. It's going to be something that builds up with the duration of your entire product. So this entire loop basically helps it's the difference between success and failure. And it's something that, in order for your business to grow and to scale, this is crucial for you to adapt this same mindset, adapt this methodology. So let's go ahead and still break it down. So building an MVP, discussing the build phase of the product development, instead of spending years on a perfect version, very important, you create an MVP, a basic version that captures the core idea, very important as well. And the MVP isn't about being perfect, but about validation. It's quick to create and it gives you great platform to get feedback, which is, one of the things I talk about a lot, and on you'll hear me talk a lot about in this platform, is that feedback is crucial, even if it's bad. Because what happens is that we tend to think that now that we got negative feedback, it's one of those things where we don't want to continue to build on it. Oh man, you have to take your emotions out of it, and if you have to take yourself out of it being for you and being it for your customer, being for your target audience. Because once you build that successful app and the successful people are buying into it, you're basically creating you're creating a MVP, creating a simple product. Of course, it's not perfect, but you're basically getting it to create the basic functional design until you see people that are actually diving into. They want to see more features. You want to validate it first before you build the whole product, because no one wants to build something that nobody wants. So let's go into the next one. Gathering data. We reached the measure phase, which it means it's time to collect data on how users are engaging with their MVP. We should pay close attention to user feedback, analytics, and charts. And this data is gold, and it gives us a better understanding of the potential our product has, and also identify areas that needs improvement. And that measure side of it is very important because it's not just building and validating it; it's also actually measuring it. Because people can show you and do one thing, but when you see the actual data and the analytics of what they're actually clicking on, what they're using, what the UI UX, which is user interface and user experience, seeing what they're actually touching, what they're actually going into, how they're getting to the app, how they're interacting with the app, is very important. It's all measurable. Every single part of the app is measurable. So you want to definitely take that into consideration within the measure phase, because as we get into learning, these things are going to be very important as I mentioned before, going to build during the duration of your app. So as I mentioned there, data is gold, and even some people sell it for millions of dollars, billions of dollars actually. So, and then lastly, we're going to be talking about learning and evolving, and we gone through the lean startup approach, which reduces waste and accelerates learning. Now it's time to embark on your own journey and craft the MVP strategy. But before we get there, one thing about learning is that you learn and you evolve. And I mentioned before, you definitely want to make sure that you take yourself out of it. When you're learning from your data and you're learning from your users, you're building a better product. You're building something that's going to essentially be something that they're going to be willing to buy into. You may have the passion for it, but you want to test out your passion so that you know that this passion is going in a direction. But hey, are you ready to get started? You can definitely book a free SaaS assessment with me, and we can help you. We just love to hear from you. So also, if you have any stories or questions, drop in the QQs or drop in the comments below, and let's just learn and innovate. Take care, guys. Have a good rest of your day.